Nice stuff, you're all in here. When do I get a gift? Martin, you'll get a gift soon, don't worry. There's a lot of things in the works with the channel at the moment. Nice to have 4 of already in here. Appreciate you all being in. We've got a guest spot today with Aquatics. He'll be with us shortly. I've sent him the link, so we'll just wait until he joins. But how is everyone? How you all doing? It is a good question. You will get one, don't worry, Martin. You are the channel sponsor at the end of the day. It is action time, yeah. I did have my hat off, but my hair's a mess at the minute. I was in the gym late, like earlier, and I've had a nap and made food. I've been treating the tank actually. We've got white spot, and I've lost one of my raccoon tetras. Yeah, white spot happened afterwards. Where is our main man? I'm waiting on him. He's been invited. He did say he's ready to go ahead. I've sent him the link, so I'm just waiting for him to join. I think he's just figuring it all out, so that's fine. But yeah, just letting you know, I've lost one of my raccoon tetra. Absolutely gutted, to be honest. I think it got a wound. They chase each other around the tank, not aggressively. They just like display, chase each other, display, chase each other. They don't actually bite each other or nip each other. And I think it's just caught itself on like the wood or rock. And yeah, that's what's happened. It won't let you join. Let me resend you a link. That should work. You're right, Jack. Nice to see you. Yeah, so one of my raccoon tetra, I think it scraped itself. It had a wound on it, an open wound. I did do water change, did add botanicals. Don't know what happened. Here he is. Hello, hello. Hello. Technical difficulties, everyone. Don't know if his headphones are working. You might have to take these out. Hello? We'll get there. We've got a load of people in here. Appreciate you all joining. Oh, I can see his ring light. We're just waiting for AH to sort out. It's his first live, so no pressure on him at all. I think he might need. Let me remove him. I'm just gonna send him a message on Discord. Please stand by, everyone. Okay, right. I'm gonna send him another link. Hello, Sarah. Nice to see you. Hey, Jody. Thanks for joining. Hey, Joseph. How you doing? Yeah, we're just waiting for AH. It's his first live, so he's not used to the technical difficulties that come with this. I think his phone or the live didn't want to pick up his microphone for some reason, which is weird. I'll carry on my sob story. Yeah, so my raccoon tetra, it caught itself on a piece of wood. It had a scar. It's happened before in the past. I think it's the same fish. It's the dominant one from the group. And I treated the tank, I drained the water, I added tannins, like I had a bottle of tannins, poured that in. Yeah, we ended up losing that fish. I come home yesterday, it was like swim around, it wasn't eating, it was like its mouth was moving rapidly. Woke up in the morning today and it was gone. Did spot some white spot yesterday, so I did up the temperature, add a bit of treatment, done again a bit today as well. Hopefully the white spot's defeated. It seems to only be affecting the tetra. Hopefully it doesn't affect the rest of the fish. Yada yada. There's my sob story. Yeah. So that's kind of what's gone on with that tank. I'm going to be rehoming my Stay by Corey, getting some new fish. I'll make a video about them. That's going to be a cool video or topic, I guess. I need to start making more videos. Don't worry, I'm not gone. I've just had a lot going on. But I can fit in these lives. Videos take longer. I've been editing the recent one bit by bit. I haven't had the time to get it all out. Should be out by the end of this week, hopefully. And yeah, that's kind of the situation with the new skate build. But fish should be ready to go in this week. I'm going to be testing the water today. I've got a water sample, see how that goes, and we will crack on with that, hopefully. And then we'll have hopefully some more shop tours coming out. Like I was saying to you, we were supposed to do a little mini road trip and visit 5 shops. I'm not saying which ones particularly, but as you know, my boss, Steve, he's had sepsis and he's recovering well now. He's back in the shop. I think it was today was his first day back working in the shop. So all the best to him on his recovery, of course. And yeah, there's a lot of things going to happen. It's just the case of when it's going to happen. Let me check Discord. Got 9 people in here. Thank you so much for the donation, Martin. I appreciate that very much. Appreciate the £2 super chat. Thank you so much. Helps us out massively. We're obviously reinvesting every penny back into the channel, and of course, you are the channel sponsor. So shout out to Martin for being our channel sponsor. 2 going on towards 3 months in a row now, or I think it is 3 months. I'm losing count. There's been a lot going on. But thank you so much, Martin. And of course, if you're on a channel member, you can become a channel member today. You get exclusive perks like giveaways. Whenever you get a permanent discount on merch. Hopefully, we're going to be reworking that this year. And the aim is for 10k subscribers, hopefully by the end of this year, or even more. We've got big aims and goals this year, for sure. I don't know what's going on with Adam's side of things in terms of technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm just gonna cross off. I've got a little list of things to go through today anyway. Anyone got suggestions for stocking? I know Joe does. Stocking on the Roma 125. Give your suggestions. Drop them in the chat. We can't have anything that digs up substrate or messes with the substrate too much. Drop your thoughts or suggestions in the chat below, and then hopefully by then, once we get through a few of these suggestions, maybe Adam's difficulties will be sorted. You watching on your phone? Me is just to the side of me right now. We're going to be getting that video out soon. The Rate Their Tanks, use the clickbait title, My Girlfriend Reacts to TikTok Tanks or some kind of thing. We've got something in mind anyway. Yeah. Any one day. I know there's 9 people in here. Oh, there you go. I think we've got him back now. Have we got you now?
Yeah, I think so.
There you go. I've got you now, finally. Right, everyone. I can finally make the joke now. Adam, meet Adam.
You're all right.
I'm all good, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
First time
Yeah, excited
speaking.
for this, obviously, first time, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I've been following your channel since you first popped up in me YouTube feed, and I was like, I'm gonna keep a close eye on your channel. Obviously, I'm not a big fish in this pond at all, but I've been doing it for like a year now, and it's nice to see like newer people starting in the community. So I thought it'd be great to start off the year with like a guest spot with yourself, and give like a platform uh, to each other's channels. It's a great way to have these like conversations on a live, get people in the audience to know each other's channels, and we'll talk about a few things today. So I've got like a list of things to go through. Jack's probably seen when I've done lives in the past. This is a short one, but I've had like a bible of a couple pages written in the past. But I'm keeping
Yeah,
it easy because I like the natural flow of conversations these days rather than
very
ticking
cool,
off things. But I'd like to ask you like the question of like how did you come about like making videos? Like how did you start with like what was like your mindset when you first started like YouTube even?
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I had no intentions of doing it, to be honest, completely none whatsoever. And then I don't know if my girlfriend was getting a bit fed up with me talking to her about fish all the time. So yeah, she just said, "Well, look, you like talking about fish, and you've got a camera and stuff. Why don't you just give it a shot?" And so I had a look around, and obviously there's loads of big YouTubers, isn't there? Like really big names, and I was watching what they were doing, thinking, I don't know if I can do this. And then obviously I came across some smaller channels, yours being one of them, and I thought, you know what, these are just normal people. I reckon I could just give that a shot, you know. Um, 'Cause that's the trouble. You put yourself against like people like your MDs and stuff like that, and you just think, can I even do this? And then you see people like yourself, and you think, do you know what? It's just a normal guy, just not with a normal job. I reckon I can do it. So I just thought I'd give it a shot. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I mean, like I was the same as you when I started. Like it was just like one of them that I had the same conversation with my girlfriend. I was sat there and I was like, I keep talking to people who don't really care, and then I'll go into a fish shop and hold one of the workers hostage for I don't know how long. And to be fair, much love to them. They give me the time of day, but like, of course, I never really went to any fish clubs. I never went to any like auctions until recent or anything like that. And then started the YouTube and went on from there. So like, in terms of that, like we'll briefly go over like the the part of like people who inspired you. You mentioned MD. Like how did people like himself or the heavy hitters that you've been watching over the years? Like, have you got a list of names of people that like you gave you this idea that I could probably follow the same steps and do the same as them, even in terms of like your aquascaping as well, because you've got some beautiful scapes for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like the main one was MV because when I got back into fish keeping, I've never kept planted tanks before, and back when I started keeping fish, which I think was probably like 2006, something like that, there was loads of like planted tanks out there, but they're all CO2 and real sort of top end things. And obviously, MD's main niche is low tech tanks. So when I found this channel, I just thought, well, that looks really cool. I reckon I could do something with that. And I mean, obviously, he's the main one I watch. There's MJ Aquascaping as well. But again, he's more sort of CO2. George Farmer, of course. Again, he uses a lot of CO2. So I think, I mean, I would say I don't really, I probably watch more of him now. And Mr. G will like this one. But Fish Shot Matt, of course, when he
Yeah.
first started, a lot of his videos were more sort of informational, weren't they? But when he started doing more and more scapes, that's when I started following him more as well. So yeah, I mean, obviously, like there's so many channels I watch, all for different reasons. Like Big Fish Lad I watch as well because I am a big cichlid fan. It's just I don't have the room in the house to have big tanks and have big fish, but I'd love to do it one day. But at the moment, I'm just quite happy doing my sort of low tech planted tanks. So, yeah, that's it really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned like a good list of channels there that I've probably watched like a good bit myself. I've watched the evolution of like quite a few of these people, like you said, with MD and Fish Shop Matt as well. Like I had this conversation with Harry, the fish keeping Ginger's in the chat now, and he was saying about like how MD's just got a cameraman for the first time, and like it's quite different and like unusual to watch his recent video, seeing that like he's now got a cameraman. I'd love to have a cameraman if I had the money at my disposal to just hire someone, because like where will back me up here, when I'm aquascaping, it's the most stressful thing in the world. Never mind aquascaping, but trying to film at the same time. And like I've had Mia help me sometimes with a bit of camera work, or I've got my cousin Tom, and it's been an utter nightmare because you've got to set up a tripod, then you've got to move it around, then you've got to get a different angle, then you got this angle, and then to 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 put things all into perspective as well. I've done this all in my room where I've got a tight little space there, and I've got to have, if I'm redoing a tank, I've got all the fish in a bucket. They can't be in there like for too long. So I'm on a timer and I've got to get it all done. So that the whole stress of that, it's been a bit of a nightmare. So I'm quite blessed with the recent setup in Mia's, where I've just had that freedom to go, oh, I've got all this room. I don't need to worry about fish. I can just set it up and enjoy the aquascaping part. In terms of like your scaping, like you said, you've been keeping fish for quite some time now. Gimbals are mint. If you don't get tracking ones, they work ace as a cameraman. Yeah, gimbals are great. I've got a gimbal myself, but cheap one. Maybe I'll invest in a better one. But yeah, in terms of your aquascaping, like you entered the competition, I gave you a good score because like I genuinely like admire like how good your tanks look. I've got this, and like I went for the easy approach of, I'm not gonna be in my place too long. I've got one big log, I'll just whack it in, throw loads of epiphytes, do the occasional bits, and then it's good to go. But like with yours, it's quite it has got that professional esque look to it in a sense. I've just had Joe, and that video will be out this week. Plant like help me plant my tank, and like hearing his insight to things, it was quite interesting on like what he looks for in setting up an aquascape, what he thinks are the key things and elements. He was speaking a little bit about Takashi Amano and like how he uses, like, if you're putting two plants there, then there has to be one over there of the same.
Yeah.
That kind of like vision. So like how would you break down like how you do your aquascaping, and like what do you look for when you start on a tank?
So I usually, go on Google Images, and I usually have a look through there and see if there's anything that catches my eye. And then I guess just through watching all these different videos, I've just sort of picked out little pieces of different things. And definitely when I did this one here, the Tetra community, the first time I did it, I put all these plants in, and it was just a nightmare. And I didn't do anything that I'd been following at all. I just chucked it all in, and it was horrible. But I don't really follow any sort of certain system, to be honest. I just build up my base layer, put my NutriBase in and everything, see how that's looking, and then I'll just play around. And I think what helps is if you've got loads of hardscape to work with, like rocks and stuff, then you can just keep tucking it in and move it around so you get what you want. I mean, the tank I've recently done for my daughter, I think it looks all right, but this again with that, the stuff I would have changed. Like I put some of the wood too close to the flat, so it's going to be a nightmare to clean. So I don't know. I don't really follow a certain system, to be honest. I know like you got your rule of thirds and stuff like that, but I just kind of chuck it in, see how it works really. But it does help if you've got a few things to pick from, doesn't it?
Like I agree with you in terms of like I think that's the best bit of advice that I've had in recent time in terms of scaping, is that the more hardscape you have, the easier it gets in terms of setting up a tank. Because like I obviously being on a budget, and like when I was in uni and I was just had a bit of my student loan, I was like, oh, I'm just going to set up this tank and I'll buy whatever I can afford. If you now, I've obviously having bits and bobs left over from tanks over the years, now I can stock up a bit more wood and I have a bit more character. And like I think I've learned that just not one piece or big pieces. It's actually better to have loads small medium sized pieces, and then you can just build up from there, and then maybe make your own thing out of it. And like it's always good as well to anyone that if there is a shop that you go to and they have a skater dojo, then it's handy as well because you can play around there and it gives you vision. Although every time I do it, I end up doing something different when I get back home.
Yeah, I definitely think the more you do, obviously the more hardscape you build up, and then the better the next one's going to be each time. Because I think definitely the when I did the Rasbora tank, that sort of I think I spent like 150 quid on like just wood alone. Like it was ridiculous. I got it home and I was like, I've got nothing here. It's just two pieces.
Yeah,
But once I put it in, I thought, do you know what? If I'd have done it with anything smaller, it just wouldn't work. So it does help, and like you say, you build it up over time. And the
yeah.
more materials you've got, the easier it gets. For that.
Exactly. And I was gonna go on to like a different point now in terms of like what are like your thoughts on your channel like so far? Like from an outside perspective, I've seen like the growth has been very good in like a short period. Your views are doing really well. Your content's doing really well, and your sub count's starting to stack up as well. Like, what are like your thoughts on where you're at the minute, and like what would you say your aim is by like a certain point, or even if you have an aim?
Don't have one, to be honest. Being brutally honest, I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying meeting people. Obviously, I'm enjoying doing this. Getting to talk to you. So yeah, I've no sort of real end goal. It's just I'm just doing it for fun, and whatever happens, happens. Really, I'm not trying to take myself too seriously.
Yeah,
So I mean, obviously, I think it's one of those, isn't it? Like you're looking at that number. I'm looking at the thousand and thinking, well, obviously, when you get there, you get there. But I mean, again, it takes long to take really.
yeah. It was like for me, like the fact when I started that I was just starting for the sake of doing it, and I was just enjoying it, and then eventually, like I guess I become a lot more like focused. I was like, right, I want the 1,000, and I set that as like the goal. And once you get that hurdle, that's when like the doors open up in that sense. Like it becomes a lot more. I don't know, a lot more serious, but like in terms of the community, like you said, like you get to know so many people, like that start like I said in my the previous lives I've had now, like and even yourself included, you're a part of it. Is like the Discord is something that is probably that the best part that's come out of doing this because like now I've got like a mini community and like there's minimal like toxicity in that kind of sense because you go on these forums, you go on like comment sections of some kind of videos like recent with keeping fish simple. Is it keeping fish simple? Yeah, he done that bloodworm video, and then it just stirred up this absolute uproar where he was
Yeah,
getting rinsed, and it's like the bigger you are, the lighter you've got to tread, or like the more your opinion is taken into account, and then you're either going to hear the worst of it, or it's just going to be the general comments, and yeah, it's just if any advice, and I'm not no such big person at all, is just like keep to your own morals or what you've got in mind. Like, of course, you can take advice here and there, but like, don't let anyone like kind of dictate what you're doing. You're doing great at the moment, and that's what I'd say in terms of advice. Just like keep your mind and just go your way, because um, I've spoke to many people in the past year. People come and go. You get busy, time goes on, and then there's rumblings of people getting upset if you go live. Rumblings of people are getting upset if you upload your video at a certain time. Just do your thing, just enjoy it, like you said, and that's what I'm going for, really.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just. I mean, at the moment, I'm finding it a bit tricky to find sort of like what the next video is going to be.
Mm,
Because I keep thinking to myself, I can't do that video. Someone else has done it, but of course, everyone has their own spin on it, don't they? So I know it shouldn't put me off, but I'm just thinking, I can't do that when someone beat me to that one. Yeah, I'm finding that the trickiest.
yeah, that's like a difficulty I've had because it's like, for example, a top five video. Everyone's done a top five video, but then your top five could be different to someone else's. It's like, or if you do like a day in the life video, someone's done a day in the life video, but their day in the life could be completely different because they're not living your life. And then if you're doing like an aquascape with the same tank as someone else, your scape's going to look different and your fish choice. So like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's all down to just do do what you enjoy, and even if someone else has done it, even if it's bang on recent, just crack on with it. That like it is difficult though, because you get a little lost in your own head because you're always thinking what's the next video, and I think that's where at the moment I'm just taking this little breather, because life's been a bit busy. I've been taking my time with the Escape. That's the main priority, to get the videos out with that. But then in terms of other videos, they're kind of on the back burner at the moment, because I'm just like, I'm looking around, I'm just seeing what's going on, and I'm thinking like, where can I fit any here in like the right way, and like what can I bring in different? Because I don't want, like, you can take inspiration, that's fine, from other people. You can even do a carbon copy, that's fine as well. But I always like to do something new. I don't know if that's me ADHD in me, that I just want to be constantly doing something new, doing something new, doing something new. Because if you do the same over and over and over, it becomes repetitive. Um, yeah, it's. I guess that's the hurdle you get over, because you'll have a bit of burnout here and there, and then you'll come back around, and then you'll just go again, and it's just, yeah, it's just getting up that hill really. But I was gonna talk about, like, so I've went over them, but like, in terms of your channel, of course, you got a comment off MD, and like, I wonder, like, like, asking you, I see you grinning already. Like, how does that feel? That like, I know the feeling through like having Fish Up Matt pop in the lives and being on call to him at some time as well. But like, having that recognition, I guess, from like someone that you've been watching, and like someone who's definitely a heavy hitter in this community. Like, how did that feel to have like a comment dropped in by himself?
It was weird. Yeah, it was just weird. To be honest, I spent more time thinking about how he found the video rather than that he'd actually commented on it. So I
Mm,
started to think, I know I mentioned him in the video, but did the algorithm tell him, or did he just happen to stumble upon it? So it was a bit weird, I'll admit, because I know he doesn't reply to every comment. It's a big channel, isn't he? But yeah, that was weird. And then I think a couple of days ago, might have been yesterday, Big Fish lad commented as well, and I was just like, what's going on here? These
yeah,
channels have been watching for quite a while and now commenting on my video. Yeah, obviously it's a nice feeling, but it is weird as well.
it's that weird like feeling of kind of like imposter syndrome in it, because you're like, who, me? Like, and that, but it's like, you're also trying to compose yourself. All right, right, all right, all right. I don't want to like harass them. I don't want to still be that fan that's watching. I want to, like, treat them as the human they are. But it's like, yeah, it's weird, because like, you think to yourself, if I would have never started this, or would have never had that conversation, or had that comment off like a person that I've been watching or inspired by for years. Like,
Yeah,
it's definitely a surreal thing for sure. I can imagine.
yeah,
Um,
it was. Yeah, yeah,
but
just the strangest thing. I mean, obviously, like if I get more of those, great. But I'm just, yeah, I don't know really. It's such a minefield, isn't it? I just think I just thought to myself, if he's taken the time out to watch the video and comment, maybe there's something there. But you never know. I'm not getting too carried away.
yeah, it's weird, is it? Because you never really know who's sat there watching your videos or the lives. Like, I didn't know Matt was in the chat, and he just decided to drop a funny comment last time. I was just filming my Scott Batters, went, "Oh, she's chill," and then she just nailed a ram's horn, and he went, in quotations, nails a ram's horn snail, as you say. And it was like, yeah, it's funny, because again, you never really know
No.
who's watching or who stumbled across your video. It could be anyone, and I guess that's the fun of the game, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but yeah, in terms of like, you were saying like what videos you're thinking of doing next, and like, what you're trying, like, you kind of been struggling with. Like, what would you say like your main aim is? Like, not aim, but like, in terms of like content, what would you say your content's like about mainly? Like, what if you were to give it a category at all?
I'd probably just say it's just sort of like I guess documenting obviously the hobby, but then also offering out some good advice. I think because every time like I read through forums and things, there's always that little bit of advice, and I just think it's not necessarily wrong. It's just there's so many different points of view, and I just think, well, you know, what one person says is not always accurate. And, you know, there's people out there being keeping fish for absolutely years, and they might do some pretty wild stuff to me and you, when we're just like, okay. So yeah, I just think that just mainly documenting the hobby, but also just providing a little bit of enjoyment to people and just giving them a little bit of advice here and there if I can. I don't want to do too many sort of how-to videos and tips and stuff, because it can come across a little bit preachy, but I definitely want to help people out as best I can. Which is why I did a video about this tank and how I sort of kept low tech tank with the lighting schedule and all that kind of stuff. So, but people disagree with me, and that's fine as well. It's just one of those things, yeah. But I think mainly helping others and documenting what I'm doing.
Yeah, I watched that video and I enjoyed it because of the fact that, like you were saying, people in the fish shop like were having that conversation, and having working in the fish shop, I'm having that conversation on a daily basis of like how do you do this, how do you do that, and it'd be better to like give them that advice. But then, like you were saying as well, the hobbies down to your perception. I guess like everyone's view on it or take on it's different. That they could set up a planter tank the exact same you do, and then go just be like it could be an utter disaster, and like another person could do it, and it could be exactly the same if they follow mine. But like it, it's weird because you always hear someone else's like you were saying, someone else's take on it, and like it's worked for them, but it sounds like outrageous or confusing to yourself. Like some guy come in the shop the other day and he went, "So this is what I've done to cycle my tank. I got this giant log from my back garden, and it was covered in wood lice, and I just whacked it in to start the cycle. And he was fishing out wood lice every couple of days." I was like, and he's like, "I think my cycle's ready now. We tested it, and the ammonia was like neon green." I was like, "Oh my god." I was
Yeah.
like, I said, "Have you still got wood lice in there?" He went, "No," but I was like, that's a
Wow.
bit like a mad way to cycle your tank. I think it's finally cycled now after
Yeah.
you took it out." But
Wow.
like he was like, "Oh, this is a way how I usually cycle my tanks." I was like, that's surely
That's
not the right
crazy.
way to go about it.
I guess like
Um,
at its most basic, you know, he's using something that's been outside, so it's got things growing on it and stuff. But yeah, not to the extent of woodlice, mate.
he's got living organisms that have
Yeah,
just drowned in his tank. No wonder the ammonia's through the roof.
yeah,
Uh, Yeah, like it was just a funny conversation, but I was gonna like go on to like fish talk anyway, and like
yeah,
you were saying you've been in the hobby like quite some time. You left and then come back into like the planted world. Like, how long have
yeah.
you been like it, roughly keeping fish for?
So I think I'm pretty sure it was 2006 when I got the first tank, and I think I had that for about 4 years, either 4 or 5 years, and that was consistent. And during that time, like my girlfriend got herself a tank, her granddad got himself a tank as well. So it was I had like three to play with for it, and then yeah, I think she sold hers. He got rid of his because he couldn't really look after it, and then we went through like a couple of house moves, and I just got rid of it. But like I sold everything, and I was a bit gutted really that I let everything go. Like literally every single piece of anything I had, I just got rid of a lot. So like next to nothing really.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I never really thought about getting back into it until my daughter came along, and then we were going to like see like places like that, and I just saw, oh, I'm getting into this again. And then yeah, and then found planted tanks, and that was the end of it. I've got four in the house now. I've got another two ready to go. Yeah.
It's funny. I've had that conversation with Mia. She's literally right next to me, giving me the awkward eye contact now. It, like we had that conversation when we first got together. I've been obsessed with it for like 6 years now, solid, and I've kept fish when I was a kid. But obviously, I'm only about to turn 25, so I'm in terms of the fish keeping world, I'm quite new, but I think I've been like a sponge and I've absorbed a lot of information. Like I was saying to you, I'm going to be our place when we move in together is going to be some some kind of an
Yeah.
aquarium. But like, yeah, terms of like the hobby, I'm guessing from when you first start, like you said in 2006. how's the hobby changed? Because I can definitely imagine it's changed a lot since then. Like you've got all these
yeah,
influencers and fish keepers online with their content and giving their takes, and then a lot of people have been influenced and inspired by that. And then there's a lot of different products and like lights and equipment now as well.
yeah. I definitely think it's a lot easier now because when I got into it, I got my advice pretty much off the fish shop I was going to, which again, you don't know whether that advice is the right advice or not because you've got nothing else to go on. There wasn't really much else. There was forums you could go to, and I think my first tank, um, I got my advice off my dad because years and years ago he'd worked in like a fish warehouse somewhere, and he kept a few fish himself, so he's given me all this advice. Which first thing was just get a tank, chuck a couple of fish in it, and see what happens, sort of thing, and then add a few more over time. Which, to be fair, it did work, but I was never really learning about how to keep fish properly. I was just sort of building it up, and nitrates were building up and stuff, and it wasn't planted, and then I wasn't keeping on top of the water changes. So there was a lot of yeah, there was a lot of advice I was getting from anywhere really. But now, I mean, you've got just got all these resources. It's almost like if you go to the hospital or whatever and you get an opinion off the doctor and you want like another 10 opinions, but you can get them like instantaneously with YouTube and with everything else. So I tend to like look at all the different advice that's out there and pick bits out. The way I like to think of it is I'm looking for more reassurance sometimes when I'm reading things. So like I don't know about yourself, but you might get an idea in your head and you think, I want to put this fish in here, I want to do that with my tank. And you might have an idea, but then you think, well, maybe I just want to check that I'm actually going to do it right. And you go and get that reassurance from somewhere, and you can call on all those different resources to get it. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I've had a big break in fish keeping, but I think it's a lot easier now. There's so much more information out, and I reckon more people could get into it. Really,
Definitely, I think now more than ever is probably a good time for people to get into the hobby and also receive the correct advice. Like I think I had this conversation a few lives back where I was saying that we had a customer just before Christmas come in, and they went, okay, so I want to set up a tank. So I went, all right. So I grabbed the tank, I grabbed some like sand. It said, do you want plants? He went, yeah, okay. So I got the apple soil and all that. I said, right. So what plants do you want? I had all the plants ready and that, and they went, okay. Now when I get the fish, I went, yeah, that isn't going to happen for 2 weeks. And he went, I need it now. I went, well, you can get all that, but you're not getting fish now unless you want them dead. And he went, well, that's not good. And then stormed out, come back 10 minutes later with the fella. And we had to, he tried to like intimidate the apprentice into selling them a fish. And then I come over again and went, listen, like they said, what if we leave for 2 days? Like this time they were a bit more lenient. two
yeah,
days. I said, yeah, no, it's not possible. I said, you have to cycle your tank unless you've got established media, which you don't. Like,
yeah,
there's no way that you can do that. And of course, you've got the API quick start, maybe the nitro goop and stuff like that. But even then, I wouldn't like put them products straight onto a like maybe the quick start in terms of getting your tank cycle, but like that still doesn't work straight away. I wouldn't point them products straight onto a beginner and then expect them to like be like that. I'd still say you need a week minimum to have your tank cycled. And obviously now you've got the mega filters, like you've got an FX4 and FX6 or something like that that could
yeah,
do automatic water changes if you needed to, or and all that. And like, yeah, it's gone very easy if you do the right steps, and that's like I guess what's beneficial about being in the shop, but also online as well, is that I can give my opinions from experience in the shop, but also from my own experience. But like you said, it's a bit difficult because you you want to give people the right advice, but like I said earlier, your advice that is the right advice from yourself that's worked for you may not work for someone else, and then
yeah,
you could get that you know that pushed back by people saying, "Oh, that isn't what's right." But I think in this hobby, nothing's right. Like you can follow a guideline, but like nothing's 100% right. And yeah, I guess that's the fun of it, really.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like I'll get an idea in my head, whether it's to get some new fish or to do something with the tank, and I'll have the idea, but then when I go to the fish shop, I'll still ask them for advice in the shop, even though I've had this idea. And a few times they've gone, yeah, that'll be fine, and other times they've gone, oh, actually, I wouldn't do that. And I've gone, oh, hang on a second, and then I've thought about it, and like I said, when I first started keeping fish, I had a 300-litre tank, and the assortment of fish I had in that was crazy because every time I went back and said, "Could I put this in?" He's like, "Yeah, no problem. Just stick another one in." And I think I had like pearl gouramis in there, firemouth cichlids, angelfish,
yeah,
cardinal tetras, tiger barbs, and then I had some African catfish at one point, like all in the same tank. Like I don't know how it wasn't just a slaughterhouse with all the mixture of fish I had in there, but
no,
yeah, they just
bizarre.
wanted to
Yeah,
sell fish. Yeah, it was a nice tank, but yeah, they just wanted to keep selling the fish.
yeah. It's crazy now. 'Cause like you said, I'll go in a fish shop. I'll ask for advice. Even working in a fish shop, if I were to go to another fish shop, I'd still ask for advice if something that I'm not clued up on. But even then, I say to people, there's no excuse now because you can go in the fish shop, and it's what I done as a beginner. I'll just pull my phone out and I'll search the fish up there, and then I'll ask again of the advice of the person working in there. And then you sometimes suss out whether they know or they're winging it or they're just doing the basics of what they've been told.
Yeah.
And that's where you get at, I guess. Yeah. In terms of like fish tank, fit English. In terms of like fish, like what would you say is if you were to do like a list of like your top five like types of fish that you would say is your go-to if you're going to set up a tank tomorrow and you've
Yeah.
got a list of five fish that you've got in mind of what you're going to chuck into that tank tomorrow, what would you say is on that list?
Um, how big a tank are we talking? Are we talking like,
Yeah,
you know?
I'd say just keep it open, whatever you want.
So I mean, if I was going to this one, obviously the only fish that I would put in here again would be cardinal tetras. Like, I just think that in terms of the schooling fish, like they're just colours you're going to get from them and the character you're going to get. I just don't think you do any better with. I mean, obviously loads of tetras, but cardinals are definitely one of my favourites. But I would always build it up like I would have. I'd always go for like a centerpiece. So I'd probably have. This is a bit small, but angelfish would be my go-to. Like a centerpiece, or maybe like the pilgrims. I still like them. Just my tank's a bit on the small side, so yeah, I'd have like a centerpiece, and then I'd have like some schooling fish, and then I'd have probably some, maybe some bottom feeders. Um, in this one, I've got a Siamese alligator, which is I mean, it's pretty big now, but the tank's a little bit on the small side. Um, but I don't really want to move it, to be honest. But I like my shrimp. I like my Mano shrimps. I think probably my biggest interest is definitely cichlids,
Mm,
but you need bigger tanks for them. Depending on which ones you want, you might need monster tanks for them. So, well, yeah, if I was setting up a planted tank today, I'd definitely go like your nice sort of centerpiece fish, like your gouramis, and then I'd get maybe a nice tetra, and then I'd probably just get maybe some Amano shrimp or some Corys or something, which is my go-to. I just don't think you can really go wrong.
yeah, like that, I guess that's what I'm struggling to do right now because I've got this 125. It's the biggest tank I've ever owned, and I'm
Yeah,
like, right, I've got 6 years now of like all the fish I've kept, all the knowledge I've gathered.
yeah,
What do I put in there? And obviously, Joe's in here at the moment, and he's like, right, in terms of an aquascape, barely none, barely anything. Keep it very minimal. He's like,
yeah,
have your centerpiece, a pisto, and then have your smaller fish. And I'm like, oh, I do want to do that, but I was like Corey's, but then I was like, I can't do the Corey's because they'll disturb the substrate. I basically used that Tropica soil, and like it's very, it's like a minefield if you disturb it because the ammonia's just gonna go boom. So I've got to be careful on what's on the bottom. So yeah, I'm thinking very minimalistic. Maybe dwarf golden barbs. I don't know yet. I've been thinking of ideas. Maybe the phoenix tetra. Don't know. But I've been looking at pistos again. might go for some kind of a piss though. I'm not going to say what and give too much away, because if I end up deciding, then people know. Sucker loaches. Well, I do have one in here, Finchy. So, by the way, I haven't been ignoring everyone's comments. I've just been given a nice conversation with Adam. But there is a hill streamer there, and he gets picked on by the Episto for some reason. I'm just checking now. Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on them fish. I've upped the temperature, you see, and I don't want a domino effect of one goes.
Yeah. Which one did you say you lost?
So I lost a raccoon tetra, which is a pretty penny. And basically what had happened is they display with each other, they open up the fins, and then they'll dart round and chase each other, but they won't actually bite each other. They just chase each other, open up the fins, and then like dart away again. And last time I found it in the upper scape, wedged between, like, it was a piece of wood and there was a hole in it. It was stuck in it. I had to like thread it out slowly, but it had a gash on it for a while. It healed up, and I think it happened again, but it might have been the same. I think it was the same fish because it was the dominant one out of the school. So maybe its body and its immune system just couldn't keep up with it. I've done all the necessary treatment and that. So I'm just keeping an eye on them. There is white spot. I'm guessing that's from the stress of that fish maybe being there overnight, or again, I've been checking my heater. My heater's a bit. I might need to get a new heater. But yeah, it's the type of hobby that you're always learning and you're always finding something that you have to fix or figure out. You can't just leave it and let your tank settle, even if life gets busy. You can set up the easy planter tanks. Like my nano tank over there, I do next to nothing with that tank. It just looks after itself. And that's a 15 litre. And usually I'd say to beginners, get a bigger tank. It's easier to look after them. You don't need to do as much. This tank has just been, I don't know why it's non-stop. Maybe it's because there's a lot of fish in there, but I've spoke to people who work in fish shops and they technically say it's understocked. So again, I don't know that it's overfiltrated too. But again,
I think
it's
you can
just
get away with a bit. I think you can get away with a bit more, can't you, with planted tanks? Like I definitely overstocked mine, sure. I mean, one thing I didn't mention before was with plecos. And the only reason I didn't mention them is I had a super red in this tank and it was fine. But then when I moved it to another one, it just dug everything up, and I just thought, it's got to go. Like, I like them, but sometimes you get this idea that you just want to dig everything up and move everything. Because at the moment, I'm still using pond soil. I don't want them digging it up. Yeah.
I'm just pointing at Mia right now because she's quite sad because we have a bulldog pleco, and he's been like one of her favorite fish in the last tank setup, and he's not going in this one. He's going to be rehomed, and the reason is he digs, and like he's went into this little nano tank which is 30 litre, which is obviously small. We're doing a lot of water change on it, but he's temporarily in there and he's dug a crater already, and we can't be doing that in this new tank. We can't have anything digging like that, so it's unfortunate. This tank I'm okay because I think I find actually the Hypan Sisters don't actually dig too much. Like I've got a big giant L236. It doesn't dig. It just stays in the wood and it'll just live in the wood. But I guess if you put them in a planted tank and there isn't like a natural cave, they'll make their own cave.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened. I moved it. Well, I had two. I had a super red and a clown pleco. And then, I moved them into like a holding tank. And it's just like two big mountains inside of it. So I can't put them back in.
Clown plecos are the worst for digging. I gave one to Harry and he's so happy about it. And then for 6 months, he thought it was dead. And then one day, he thought it was dead, so he added another pleco in there. Next minute, there's the clown pleco. It's come out of nowhere because they're the most shy pleco in the hobby, I think. And it come out of nowhere, and he calls it the shovel because it's got a flat head like that. And every time I had it in my tank, it just kept digging into the middle. Like it just go as far as it could. It probably kept hitting the glass because it couldn't dig any further. But I'd like to probably. Honestly, this clown placo is debating my existence. I'm sorry I sold you the clown placo, Harry.
What's that?
You know, the one that I had that kept digging up the sand, the clown placo, and I gave it to Harry. Yeah, he keeps calling me all the swear words going. Um, I'd like to give like a like if you want to ask myself any questions before we end this, and then we'll let people in the audience ask anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you got anything in mind, ask away.
I mean, I suppose I'll ask you what was your biggest inspiration to get into YouTube?
Like I said, I started with watching MD. I think there's Green Aqua, MJ, Aquarium Co-op, definitely. Like when I first started, everything that was in their top 5 list was in Pet at Home. So I was just going up Pet at Home and grabbing whatever. And then obviously I started like I really enjoyed watching their unboxing videos because they'd start unboxing stuff. And like the cool thing about them is they'd do an unboxing, they'd show the fish. They don't do it and like Aquarian, I think because I think he had another guy, a manager that was working there, and they'd do the unboxing, and in that unboxing you go, oh, they're quite an aggressive fish. Oh, this peaceful fish, and like they'd show you that, and then they'd show you the fish in the tank as well, and you'd be like, that's like that was really cool to watch and inspiring. Um, yeah, in terms of like the aquascaping as well, of course, George Farmer was quite lucky to meet him in a workshop in Finest Aquatics a couple of years ago. Fish Shop Matt as well. Like you said, when he first started, it was quite informational videos, and they were quite cool. And now he started to do a bit more aquascaping. I actually enjoy quite a lot of escapes. I think, if anything, some of escapes are kind of a bit better than MDs. In like the past few escapes he's done. But yeah, I think there's so many to tick off the list. It was weird starting YouTube. Like I said earlier, starting YouTube, it was scary, to be honest, because oh, thank you so much for becoming a channel member for 6 months, Arnold. It's nice to finally see you back in alive. It's been quite some time since I've seen you about, so I hope you're doing well, mate. All the best and happy New Year. Yeah, like I started and I felt I basically I'm not sure if you've seen my first video, but I sat there in front of my fluval flex that I'd had for almost 5 years and went, "This is a fluval flex. I've aquascaped it to the best of my ability. I basically cut the lid out, cut all the back filtration out, and just modified it as much as I could because that's all I could work with at the time. And then when I started making videos, it allowed me to start going, "Hey, mum, can I like, there's a tank. I don't need to get a new cabinet. I can just put it on the same one. I've measured it. It can go there. And then that little tank over there, I had a shrimp bowl and went, shrimp bowl's manky as hell. Can I just like get that? It'll fit on the shelf. It didn't fit on the shelf. Um, and then yeah, it was funny, and then obviously I got with like I've been lucky with Mia where she's let me set up tanks in her place, and the cat's a nightmare, so we're gonna definitely have to keep a lock on the fishery when we do make one. But yeah, it like you said, it's realizing that if you don't put people on the pedestal, like you naturally do it anyway from watching them and being a viewer, but when you realize they're just normal people and you can just like just get your phone out and just start recording or get your camera out and then just go on from there, then yeah, it's great, and I'm really happy like where I'm at. I'm quite lucky. Did I expect to have the community that I have now? No, although it's a small one, it's quite like nice to have people talking on a daily basis, asking different questions, and like Arnold has said, Arnold's been around since early doors. Mr. G's been supporting the channel as much as he possibly can. I don't want to look at his bank statement, any kind of donations that's gone towards here. Like he's done recently, he gave you a T-shirt as well as a gift, which was really cool. Seeing people just wearing this little logo that I decided to come up with, I actually got like a memory from last year, literally yesterday, and it was before I added little fish in because I just done that, and then I
Yeah.
went, okay, I'm gonna add the little fish in, and then it's just stayed now because it's nice and simple and it's easy to look at.
Well, that's the
Um,
only reason I've made this. It's not. It's just because when I've been doing my videos, I didn't know what to wear.
yeah.
I guess if Mr. G had sent me that soon, I'd have been wearing that instead.
All the free promo in the world.
But no,
Arnold's done enough.
obviously,
Arnold's wearing them as well.
I'm very grateful, and yeah, there'll definitely be a few videos coming up where I will be rocking the A7F t-shirt.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Honestly, your point earlier that no one knows everything, but you have the internet, etc., is humbling. Does make you remember that they're on the same journey as you. Of
yeah,
course, mate. Like, listen, you've got the internet and you can be a beginner, and then when you look stuff up, it can be overwhelming. But like I always say to beginners, that the main thing is that when you walk into a fish shop and you see something you like, before you ask the people in the shop, just look up the fish on your phone and just search. And it usually comes up with like a general. Now there's an AI thing as well, which is even better, and it comes up with like community friendly, prefers to be in groups of six. Like it gives you a literal breakdown now. So it's like there is no excuse, but at the same time, I also there is at the same time if someone's awkward enough to not, if they don't want to be asking them questions, they just want to go in the shop and just walk out. That's fine too. But I always recommend ask the people in the shop, look up on your phone, be a sponge, watch all the videos you can. That's what we're here for. um, and the others, of course. And yeah, it's just be a sponge. That's what I done. I haven't read a book in my life in terms of fish. I've flicked through, went nice pictures, pretty pictures, but I'm looking at writing and go nope. So I'd
yeah,
rather just sit there and watch a video of someone talking about it, and that's how I absorb my info really. Um,
absolutely. I mean, I think when I got back into it in like 2022, I didn't like I watched all these videos, I was reading all this stuff, and then I just completely overthought it. Like I messed up that first tank, like you won't believe. I thought, right, I know how to cycle it, and put all my bottle bacteria in there. And then I just kept going back to it, and I started messing with it, and I put the air stone on, and took the air stone off, and then I made a mess. Like to be honest, I made a complete mess of it all. And I mean, I probably lost a couple of fish as well while I was doing it, and that was just because I sort of knew how I did it back in 2006, and then just thought, well, is there better ways of doing it? And in fact, what I needed to do was just do it the way I did it, but just be more patient this time. And it worked. As soon as I stopped messing with it, everything worked fine. It cycled itself in no time. Happy day. But yeah, you can. That's the other thing as well. You can really overthink stuff, can't you?
I've only I've only had a tank since July, but I've watched so many videos and talked to so many. Yeah, that's like the great thing about it. Just talking to people is really good. Both so natural, like a chat could be here for hours, I'm sure. The fish world is better now since the internet. I was 10 when I got my first fish 40 years ago. I know more since watching things on YouTube or looking it up on Google. Yeah, exactly. And like you were saying, then don't be afraid to make mistakes. Of course, it is like a bit disheartening when you lose fish. Like I will always feel like hurt and like responsible when I lose a fish. But when you like I come to the closure last night that I'd done everything I could have done for that fish that I was losing
Yeah,
and lost. And it was the sense of the fact that I knew that through my experience over the years is that, it happens. At the end of the day, like you can only do so much. We're both from the UK. You can only do so much, and just like you'll learn from it. Like I've had wipeouts, like you said. I was treating a sick fish. I had a black phantom tetra, and one of them was dodgy, and I was trying to treat it. So I put it in a cup floating in the tank. I took the air stone out the tank, but I'd obviously treated the tank as well as a precaution for the other fish. When you do treatment and there's not enough water disturbance, and I put the air stone inside the container, wake up in the morning, half my fish are gasping and dead, alongside the one that was in the bloody cup. So that was something that I learnt, and it was a planted tank, but clearly there wasn't enough plants to keep the water oxygenated, nor the disturbance or agitation on the top. So that's why now, yeah, like it's always good to just learn from your mistakes and not be disheartened. You will lose fish, guaranteed. And there's so many different factors that play into things. You could get something that could be the hardest thing in the world, but lose it, and that may be down to um, genetics. It may be down to the fact that the fish was ill when you got it or underfed. It may be down to your mistake, but don't be disheartened if you lose fish. Like, you can always go again, start again, and you'll find your way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I lost an osso, didn't I, yesterday, just after I'd started treating that tank now. But again, I haven't lost a fish for probably about a year now. So that was the first one. And again, it didn't bother me. I did everything I was supposed to do. I tested the water as soon as I picked it out, make sure everything was all right. It was fine. But I don't know if you've kept ottos before, but they starve a lot of the time, especially when you get to the shops. They're already starving.
Yeah, they are all wild caught as well. So when we get them in the shop, we like the good thing about us is, like, I've seen the process with Steve, is that when we get a lot of wild stuff in, we dim the lights. We try not to power feed them when they first come in because they're stressed. We let them settle for a bit. We whack a load of tannins in, botanicals and stuff like that. And then gradually, as we're doing water changes, the water goes clearer and clearer to the normal tank color with a little bit of a tint on it. And at that point, then the water's the same level as ours. We've had like good success in sense of doing that. But when you've got the bigger retailers like a Pet and Home or other stores, like, they'll end up, they can't afford to do that, so they'll just whack them in and hope if they survive. And then obviously there's thousands of them that are coming in on delivery, and then how are you feeding thousands of them at the same time? There'll always be a fish missed out or something like that. But as you said, some fish are just a lot more delicate than others.
Yeah. I mean, the one that's got I think it's fungus. It's hard to tell really.
No,
That one, that one's doing all right. I've treated the tank and it's more active than the other one, which is still in there. So yeah, it's weird. I just thought I'd treat it just for the sake, but it's probably going to be all right, I would think.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on to now the final part for everyone. If you've got any questions, please drop them in the chat. A few people have throughout the live, but if you've got any questions to drop in now, please do, and we'll try our best to answer anyone's questions at all. Please ask away to AH, as you see my ugly kipper every once or twice a week. So please let me know. Plants can be the same. Some are more delicate. Yeah, exactly. I've learned that, and I've done like a full CO, not proper CO2, but like I've done CO2 and the highlighting and the dosing, and still lost plants. It could be down to what your water's like in your area too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I had is it Alternatera,
Yeah.
which is a funny one. I put it in this tank and it melted like within a week, but then in one on the other tank it's been absolutely fine. So yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? I mean, of course, you still see people putting Java ferns and sand and gravel, don't you, as well, and stuff like that. So.
I've just had an engineer buddy of mine fabricate me a few CO2 regulators. I can't wait to put them into action. Hopefully it works out for you, mate. I know that you like Tommy's from Texas, and is he from Texas? I think he is from Texas. I'm sure he is, and he likes gathering a lot of fish from his local waters and keeping like a setup of like fish. I forgot the word now. Fish from like his area anyway. You get what I'm trying to say, and it's a really nice setup that he's got going on. To both Adams, what do you think of fish keeper events that you've attended? Have you attended any? Have you attended any?
No, I've never been to any. I'd love to go to some, yeah, but never been.
You're not too far from where I work, are you? Well, we're always like Chester. You're on Stoke, aren't you?
Mid Cheshire, so Northwick, Middlewich, that sort of area.
Okay.
Yeah, not far away at all.
Well, there's going to be some fish clubs hopefully happening in the aquascaping workshop, so maybe you can pop up to one of them. That'd be great. I went to Finest Fest, and when I say Finest Fest, I think it's when they opened it was the first year they opened the freshwater section. That was really cool. They had George Farmer doing a workshop, so that was cool. And I've obviously been to the catfish auction. That was really nice. Like there was a lot of good deals. Everyone was kind of quite really friendly, and there was a lot of knowledgeable people there. And then, of course, I've been the Maidenhead Preston one. They done a little overnight fish club. That was cool. There was a lot of people from the Preston club there. Still need to go to Preston at some point. And I think the biggest one was Pat's, but that was a lot to do with the retail side of things at a hobby, and I enjoyed that. All that again wouldn't be possible if it weren't for YouTube. Like I guess it just gave me that confidence to attend more things.
Yeah.
I got an interesting question. What's the dullest fish you kept? Maybe even regretted? Either colour, behaviour, or you want to rate it by? Oh, oh. That's a good one. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh.
That's harder than it.
That's hard. Damn. It's not often that I get a question. I'm like, oh. This is now a lot of people will go, wow. I'm getting rid of stay-by Corys because of the reason that they've been boring. Now, in another setup, I'm sure they'd be an amazing fish. But for some reason, they are super shy. They don't come out. They're always hiding. And for that reason, I see my coolie loaches more often than the stay-by Corys.
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting rid of them. I'm just bored of them. But my gold lasers, which is meant to be the shy, this one I mean, the stay-by is meant to be the most outgoing Cory in the hobby, and the gold lasers are meant to be the shyest. Now it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So
I think
for that reason, I think maybe stay-by Corys.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that clown plateau I used to have, just because if you've got a fish that's going to hide all the time, what's the point in having it?
Exactly. I don't mind. I don't mind having a pleco that hides, but they come out every now and again, and then you're like, oh wow. But with a clown pleco, no, you will get to a year, and then you maybe see the back of its fin.
Yeah.
Like nah, I don't want anything like that. Although I'm going for another shy species. I'm going for honeycomb bullcats maybe.
Really?
I'll say honeycomb bullcats. I'm thinking of maybe getting some of them, but they are quite shy. But they do come out when feeding. I've seen them with DJ Aquatics. He has a breeding group when I visited him, and they do come out. So that's why I'm like, I'll get them because they will. The Northwest Cichlid Society auctions and meeting Green Hill and Littleborough. Stay by, love blue light, moonlight. They go crazy. Hang on, let's try that. We'll see.
I'll tell you another fish I have regretted having would be guppies. I had males and females, and that's just not because they're dull, just because of how prolific they breed. Like I completely misjudged it. I had them in this tank, and I thought, well, it's planted, I can overstock it, but I really misjudged how many fish would be in there. I bagged them all up and gave them away to someone, but it must have been ridiculous.
I had guppies, and they can be nasty, can't they?
Yeah.
They can be really nasty. People are like, oh, guppy is really good. No, they can be proper nasty with each other and other fish, and they can pick away at other fish too. I'm not a fan of guppies. I know Johnny, if he was in here right now, would be effing and blind, and he swears by live bearers.
Well, those endlers I've just got, they keep pecking away at the peppercorns. Like they just keep nudging away from the food, and everyone again, talking about advice you get, everyone online says endlers and Corys are great together. Well, these don't get on.
It's different for everyone, honestly. It's like in the shop, we mainly tell people not to get a male fighter because of the reason that they can be most of the time aggro, and it doesn't matter the tank size. From my experience, I've kept the male fighter in the community. He was fine, and then a couple of weeks later, he started ripping the eyes out of my cardinals. and eating me a mono shrimp. So I was like, right, we need a bigger tank. Put him in a bigger tank, and he was fine. But yeah, it all depends really on the fish keeper. And again, you get given advice. We had someone. I'll speak about this now. We had someone come from a shop. I'm not going to name the shop. And they come in and they had a Fluval Flex 57. Now they said, "Oh, we got sold a female fighter. Oh, it's been chasing the other fish." Well, oh, okay. And we had this blackfish in there too, and it had a little white tip on the end of it. So I was like, okay. So I went, a ghost knife, and he went, "We don't know what it is." So I looked up on I looked on the video. There I'm looking at a male fighter with the longest fins going, and a ghost knife in a 57 litre, and he went, "We had a bunch of neons, they all disappeared."
Yeah.
No wonder.
You've probably seen like I've seen it on a few YouTube channels now. People keeping like goldfish with tropical fish. I've seen that as well, which is kind of like blown my mind.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, innit? Because I had someone come in and they went, "I keep orandas in tropical tanks." I'm like, huh? But apparently that's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, you can see it quite a lot. Like on Father Fish, I think he does it.
I got zebra plecos before Christmas. They're shy and they started to adventure out during the day. Yeah, it's all down to everyone's experience. The steer bars haven't come up. I'm gonna change that light. I'll just see if I try it. Yeah, no, it's all down to everyone's different experiences. I think another one that I think that was maybe dull, that I got bored of. Mm, I don't know. Yeah,
It's tricky, isn't it? I never like getting. I don't think I've ever, other than the two Blackos I don't think I've taken any fish back to fish off. I took those two back, and I should have asked, but I never asked, so I didn't get any credit either.
yeah.
I mean, you're a good size as well.
That's the thing. I used to for a long time, and like just take fish into like I've gone to a few shops where I've been fortunate where they've given me store credit or done like a direct swap. Our shop's quite good at if you bring like some adult size fish that are like breedable or good sellable size that we'll give some store credit. But over the years, the amount of money I've spent and then switched the fish around because I got bored of them, like it's been unreal. These emerald dwarf rasbora are super shy. I knew they would be. They are lovely, but as soon as you move, they go whoop, they'll just start. They are a pain in the backside. The wild betters I really like because they were like lurking around. Yeah, it's difficult. I'm thinking because I even like the baddest. The baddest haven't bred. I'm annoyed about that, but I'm not bored of them because they're just so cool. The little micro predators. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think I've gone through the list there, but I think I think yeah, we've covered some really good topics there. I've really enjoyed our chat. It was nice to finally have a face to face chat with you, Adam. Yeah, Adam and Adam. And yeah, I'm sure we can do another live sometime soon as well. It'd be great to have you back on. But I'm looking forward to seeing where your channel ends up. I've got a good feeling you're probably going to overtake me. In
I don't
the
know about
coming
that.
months. Trust me, I don't know why. I've got a feeling. I've got good belief in you, mate. Honestly, your channel's doing really well. Your content, the path it's on, and yeah, I appreciate you giving me the time to have you on here today.
No, I appreciate it as well. Didn't think for 1 second I'd be doing a live with anybody, you know. So yeah, I appreciate it as well, mate.
No worries, mate. And as I said, we'll hopefully have more guest spots in the next few weeks or coming months anyway. And I won't be afraid to have repeats or maybe a panel of more people. So I'll let you know for sure over Discord.
Yeah, great stuff.
No worries. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I appreciate everyone's support. As always, thank you again for the donation, Mr. G, as always. Appreciate everyone's love and support. Make sure to give a sub to AH Aquatics and check out his channel. If MD is a fan, I'm sure you'll be a fan as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. Take care. I'm going to go and catch the back end of this Liverpool game now. I can hear my dad ranting and raving downstairs, so it doesn't sound too good. But yeah, thank you all for watching.
Thanks
Take care. See you later. Good night,
later.
everyone.
Bye.
See you later, mate.